What up, Whiskey Ginger fans? Welcome to the show. If it's your first time, like I've said, welcome to the show. Please subscribe, do the notifications and all that good stuff so you know when the videos pop up, especially because we have different art that gets thrown up. We do different thumbnail art, exclusive every single week by Jenna Sunday, my girl, who's phenomenal, who creates great art thumbnails for each and every episode. So they all look different and unique. We think that's fun, so let us know. Let us know that you also enjoy it instead of getting the same thumbnails every single week. We like to keep it mixed over here. AndrewSantino.com is all the information that I can provide for you as far as changing up all the dates on tour. I know people are like, when are things getting rescheduled? We're working on it right now, man. We're trying. If you go to AndrewSantino.com, you can see all that stuff, what's rescheduled, when it's rescheduled for, certain shows that are canceled that aren't rescheduled yet. We're all trying to get through this thing together. You can also go on there, join the Patreon, where you get exclusive one-on-one content with me. We do Cheeto chats and all sorts of bonuses and fun stuff like that. And there's merch on there too. I know it's tough times for a lot of people, but if you're interested in grabbing some merch, it's all there at AndrewSantino.com. I'm blabbering on as usual. I need to shut up so you can get to the episode. Enjoy it.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You're that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whiskey Ginger. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. I say that for all my guests, but I mean it especially today. It is Ron Funches. Ron Funches, baby.
Hey, Cheeto.
My baby boy. We were talking about video games earlier. Ron is into Animal Crossing. He's got a $2 million stake in turnips. You're selling turnips, huh?
Yeah, got in. I bought the turnips for about $500,000. About to make $2.3 million. So
wait a minute. Can you, in the video game world of selling, what's considered richness in the Animal Crossing game? What's a lot of money in that?
Probably a lot, like real life, 10 million, 20 million,
It's the same as real life, because you
Yeah.
selling a turnip for $500 doesn't seem real at all.
Yeah. But that's what the economy, things keep going how they going. We might be selling fish and turnips and shit.
Yeah, you might be. That actually. Do you have anything? Do you at your house? Do you have a vegetable garden or something like that in real life?
No, no, I look foolish.
Dude, I want one.
Mm-hmm.
I want one. I got an orange tree and a peach tree, and we eat those. But I actually want. I see why white people love vegetable gardens. I get it now. After all these years, I'm like, oh, I get it, because you can go in your backyard and just get something.
Well,
it's
no,
really
you
nice.
said white people, right? But know that it is also very popular in the very militant black community to have your own garden, because you don't want to be eating food from the government.
I know. I understand. I think whites do it differently. That's more of a strategic thing. I think whites do it to show off. Like, black people do it because it's like intelligent necessity for them, that they think that's like, I don't want to get it from the man, and I don't want to deal with somebody else's shit. A white person does it so they can brag in their community. That's like a very like braggadocio thing to be like, we have a carrot garden and lettuce. It's bullshit. My neighbor has a garden that goes an entire city block. The whole side of his house is one city block. He bought all this property, and it's a huge vegetable garden. And I want to steal from him so bad. He's out there every day. I want to take it.
That's a beautiful neighborhood.
It's nice. Hey, cheers to Ron. I'm having myself some Buffalo Trace. Ron doesn't drink, but he's having there's a little bong there. You take a hit and let me take a sip at the same time, yeah?
Sounds good.
Great.
You know what's going on with my neighbors?
What's going on?
Well, I hate my neighbor, which is fun.
All of them or just one of them?
Just the one to the left. He's a real yelly guy. He yells a lot at his wife and yells a lot at his kids like every day.
Ugh.
And then
Gross.
one day, my son, who has special needs, his school bus was blocking his driveway. And he came out and honked and yelled at the bus driver, and even like revved his car like he was going to hit the special needs school bus. So I got up in his
So I got up in his fucking ass.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
real up in his face, got real ignorant until I realized his son was there, and then I had to back down because I don't want to be a bad example. B, I don't want to go to jail. So I had to back off of that. But he's been real calm with us since then. But now he's been stuck at home with his family and his wife, and they are falling apart. His yard looks horrible right now. It is like it's one of the few joys that I'm getting is watching his family fall apart from the outside.
I love that you get to seek revenge through doing nothing at all. Like you just get to sit back and watch it crumble.
Oh yeah, his yard
great.
right now looks horrible. There's like big ass stalks growing up. It's like,
wait, is it because him and his wife have been fight? So you've heard them fight for years, huh?
for 2
how
years,
long as
2
you've
years,
lived there?
yeah, 2 years.
That's wild. What does he say? Can you make out what they're yelling about?
It sounds a lot like that Will Ferrell Saturday Night Live sketch where the guy's just yelling at his kids all the time. He's like, "Get off the shit!" Yeah,
that shit. Yeah,
it's like that all the time about him, but him yelling at his kids and yelling at his wife before he goes to work. But now he can't leave, so it's real.
He's stuck.
Getting real over there.
So was this hatred a dual hatred from the jump, right from the get-go? Did you guys not like each other?
Oh, I come in with no beef ever, but he kind of came in a bunch of times. It was being like as soon as we moved in, probably because I moved in and I'm like, I'm at the time, mid-30s young black kid, and he has his whole family over there, and he was just, I didn't even have my fiance or my son there at the time, so he was just like, what are you doing here, and kind of just, coming over all the time. One time he came over and he complained because he said my garbage smelled too bad that he could smell. What? Yeah.
That's not a real thing.
I was like, just wait for a trash day then, man. I don't know what to tell you.
It's 4 days away. Okay. Yeah. At any moment in time, if the trash smells too bad, it's 4 to 5 days away. Yeah. Get over it. Yeah. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. It's not like it's in my front. It's where it belongs. So ever since then, I kind of hated that guy.
He's trying to find shit to get mad about.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, because he hates his wife and he hates his kid and he hates his job. Mm-hmm. And you're young and successful, and that bothers him. Yeah. So all this stuff is sad projection that he just wants to take out on you.
I'm so glad you see it, because that's how I see it too. Because I'm like, okay, because I'm chilling, we having fun over here, we be playing music over here, and then I could tell, like, obviously because his yard's not doing well, he barely holding on to keep that house. Right. He barely holding on. Over here, we stockpiling, looking for the next house.
We selling turnips over here, bitch.
Well, we was until this shit happened. But
Ron, what would be the greatest, like the most beautiful kind of universal revenge that would happen? Is if this guy had to get out of the house and you bought his house.
Oh, I thought about that. Just pull a Drake.
To buy his house would be so disrespectful in such a great way. Man.
That's what Drake did. That's what Drake really did.
Wait, what do you mean? He bought his neighbor's house?
Yeah, his neighbor was complaining about him playing music too loud, so he just bought his neighbor's house.
Oh, how great. How great. What a great way to say fuck you. Yeah, I'll just buy you then. Bye. So it's like we got lucky because most of our neighbors, most of them are pretty cool. In fact, the coolest dude is this dude literally next door. He's an older British dude. He works on cars all day in his driveway. So he's kind of like the neighborhood watchdog. He's just a nice dude who drinks, who's cool, who's chill. And, I'll come home and he'll be like, come over for a drink, Andrew. And I'll just head over there. We'll have a drink. We'll talk. And nothing bothers them. Like there's been times when I'm like, hey, we're going to have some people over in the pool. And people are going to be coming and going, just letting you know. Cause our backyard's side to side, and they can hear everyone out back there. And he was like, "Oh, we don't care at all." Like they've never given a shit. We got lucky. We got super lucky. You just roll the dice. You move into a place and you hope that somebody's cool.
Yeah, but it's all. I mean, that's what you want is just space in between you. I'm just happy that I've gone from like. I used to live in like big ass apartment complexes where there were like people above you, people to the left of you, people below you.
Yeah. Same.
So
same.
I can deal with the one guy.
So tell me, speaking of moving on up, now you're living large and you're gonna buy this guy's house and shut him down. Do Do you have 2 shows on Quibi? Or am I stupid?
No, I have one show.
You have 1 show on Quibi, but
Yeah.
you had in development more than 1 show with them. Am I wrong?
No, no, I had,
What was it?
What are you talking about?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I thought you were doing a show that was like, it was like roast battle, but like the nice version.
Yeah, that's what I am doing. Yeah, that's what
You are still doing it.
Yeah.
But the name changed. Maybe that's what it was.
That's
The
what
name
it
totally
probably
changed.
is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's called Nice One now. Yeah. It's like
Right.
boast rattle and like at midnight. It's pretty chill. It's fun.
Are you have you shot a lot of it or what?
Yeah, we shot 8 episodes. So I'll be out May 25th on Quibi. I loved it. I fucking loved it. I mean, I never hosted a show before. I didn't know if I'd like it, but I really do like it, and mostly because it reminds me of like going back to hosting stand-up shows where it wasn't really your job to get over as much as it was your job to get the whole show over, And I really like, I kind of take a pride in like getting my friends over and talking about their accomplishments and talking about how funny they are. I think that's important. I think that's something that we kind of overlook a lot in comedy, that we're taught to put ourselves down a lot as comedians. And I think that does comedy as a whole a disservice. And so I'd like to be like, this person's amazing. They've been in this and this and this and this, even though you don't know them, And that's a lot of what this show allows me to do, because it is called Nice One. It is about being nice to each other. So we make jokes about like, oh, you're so successful. You were in this, you're in that, and
Right.
And then it's a weird way of writing jokes, but it's a way, as a person who loves pro wrestling, it's a way of putting people over. It's a way of saying how important someone is while also making jokes. And I like that. I really had a great time. All the writers were awesome. I just hope we get to do more.
That's dope, dude. Speaking of which, by the way, so May 25th, right? Quibi. People should watch that when it comes out. But speaking of pro wrestling, I literally just read that Florida deemed all WWE activity as an essential, right? As essential, so they're allowed to continue on. Now, but when they say that, they're allowed to wrestle, but the fans are not allowed to be in the arena. Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
Right. So everyone that's wrestling is allowed to still continue to wrestle. They're still going to film it and stream it live. And it now, do people have to pay? Is there like a pay-per-view for it now? Or is it just going to be?
It's, they have their cable shows, their weekly cable show, and they have a show on NBC.
But I'm saying like, instead of like, because when they televise live events, is there not going to be a special version of the televised? Is there anything that's going to be like special or different from it, or it's just going to continue on just without an audience as a
It's
whole?
going to continue on without an audience. Just that's how they did
Okay.
WrestleMania, which is like their biggest event and thing I normally go to every year. And this year they just did it with no audience. They had but they also taped some matches like movies, so they did like some,
Right.
and that was fun. But I think this is stupid as fuck. There's no way that that's an essential business. I don't.
No.
I'm the biggest pro wrestling fan in the world, but I don't see the point in putting a bunch of people's lives at risk and making them fly all over. Their job's very similar to ours, where they're just flying all over the place all the time, staying in hotels, and this is not the time to be doing that. So I think you should just let them go home.
I think it's a very foolish endeavor, but I just think people are going to make their choice. This teaches us about the way society reacts to anything. It's like people are going to do what they're going to do. They don't give a fuck what you tell them. Like just the other night, they busted a nightclub in Miami, like an underground nightclub or whatever. And they had like 250 people that were coming and going throughout the night. It was just like a secret nightclub, a secret bar, and people were going to and getting drunk and dancing. And it's like, you can make all the rules in the world and everybody can respect them at different levels, but people that want to do whatever the fuck they want to do are going to do it no matter what you tell them.
People are going to
can't
show
stop
you
people
who
from
they
doing it.
are. People are always going to show
Yeah.
you who they are. And on many levels, there's going to be people who are like, yeah, you can't tell me what to do. And there's also like, you see a lot of like, we're finding out who the helpers are, and we're finding out who people are trying to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
So many people,
crazy, man.
so many fucking companies had a commercial out dealing with this like within 5 minutes. Like I've talked about it before, but the thing I hate the most, I heard this 5-hour energy commercial where they're like, hey, we're normally your get up and go energy drink, but if you can't get up and go, we can be your stay at home and still give the boss a good day's work energy drink. And I'm like, go fuck yourself, 5-hour energy. That's how you gonna be at this time? You want me to be worried about my fucking boss? Fuck my boss.
That should be a Ron Funches speech. You should put out a commercial that's like, fuck my boss. You think I'm worried about my fucking boss? Fuck 5-hour energy. Fuck my boss. I'm Ron Funches and I approve this message. We'll just put out a campaign. Do you drink that shit? Have you ever drank that stuff, that 5-hour energy? All that shit?
Man, I've always
Never.
been, as a conspiracy theory dude, I've always been like, I don't believe into a solution to that, to a problem that's made up, you know? Like, if you're tired, nigga, go to sleep, you know? Like, what the fuck? Why the fuck am I going to drink poison instead of just taking a nap?
Right. Do you drink coffee?
No, man. I used to when I was in high school. I was real into it, and I would get migraines if I stopped, like just real, you know, like almost blinding migraines. And so for the most part, I don't really fuck with caffeine. I have like a sugar-free cola every now and again, but for the most part, I don't really fuck with caffeine.
That's brave, man. I don't know how, like, I got to tell you, my biggest vice has always been Coke in a bottle. It is so hard for me. God, dude, it's like, it is my one thing that I know. It's so I can't give it up. Like, I'll be as healthy as I can in so many aspects of my diet and me exercising, but like, I have to have a Mexican Coke once in a while because it's so fucking good. It doesn't make sense. It's when it's hot out and you have a cold Coke in a bottle. I don't know, man. I almost don't give a fuck that it can strip metal. You know what I mean? It's so goddamn good. I don't give a shit. Hey, brother,
I agree so hard. This is why I can't do it. I agree too hard, man. I love them. I love, as soon as you said it, I not only did I think about drinking a bottle of Coke, I was sitting at a restaurant in Highland Park eating a burger and onion rings and drinking a Mexican Coke. As soon as you said that, I knew exactly where I was.
Yeah, you felt it.
Yeah,
you could feel it in your body.
Oh yeah.
God, Ron, did you ever drink at all, or you never really drank?
I'm allergic to alcohol. I tried to drink when I was 18, and it puts me in like a shock, and my throat closes up, and I projectile vomit. It's not a pretty scene.
Jesus. No, don't ever do that. Then let's not have you do that. When did you really discover that that smoking pot was not just something you enjoyed, but became kind of like a part of your lifestyle? You know what I mean? Because it's definitely like a part of who you are, as far as like you as a creative person. I know you like to smoke when you perform and when you're creating stuff. So when did you know that was the thing that you loved?
I had an inkling very young. When I was, I never, like, I was a pretty good kid for a long time. I knew, cause I just kind of knew, like my dad, had drug addiction issues. I had like a lot of stuff in my family about that, and so I decided very young. I never want to try cocaine. I never want to try heroin. I never want to do these things, because I know if I try them, I'm probably gonna love them. But I also knew that I want to do probably gonna want to smoke weed, and I was a nerd, so I would do research, and I'd go like, oh, no one's ever died, or look at all these things. You look at alcohol, and objectively, I'm just looking at things. I've never done any drugs at this point, and I'm going, oh, this just seems better, right? And so I always had an interest, but I still never tried it until like I was like 16 years old, and my friends were getting into it, and I was still trying to be a good goody. And so I would just be like, no, I'm going home. But like, you sit at home long enough with your dad while all your friends are getting high, and you're like, maybe I'll try.
Maybe I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try just a little bit.
And I tried it once, and Red Vines had never tasted more delicious, and Scary Movie 2 was now the best movie I'd ever seen. And I was like, I think I like this. And
what was your first? Was it out of what was your first?
Wizard
like my first
bong.
way of smoking a bong.
Wizard bong, real
Holy
old school.
shit!
Yes,
that's wild. I was out of a pop can. No. An apple. It was out of an apple was the very first time, and then the second time was out of a pop can. And then after that, I was like, I think we should smoke this out of a glass thing because the pop can seems to be tasting very bad when we smoke out of it. But I remember those days, you'd crush a can if you could find one, poke a bunch of holes in it. If you didn't have anything to smoke out of, it worked.
Oh yeah, I laugh about those days with my friends all the time, talking about pop cans or apples or knives. And talking about how my dad being like, "Where are my butter knives?" You know,
taking. That's so funny because some people don't know about taking like a knife hit. That's so funny. Like people don't. I think after generation and generation, it becomes a thing that like I'm sure for our parents. You know, for that generation of pot smokers, the ingenuity was different than ours. And then the kids today, their ingenuity is so much different because the way of obtaining it is so different. Like, do you do dabs? Are you a big guy into dabs or no?
I used to do dabs. I got heavy in the dabs pretty much right after I was getting divorced and stuff. And I was like just walking around trying not to feel. I think they're very efficient. And but I truly think they are for people who like really need that, for people who are sick, for people who need like 80% THC. Like when I was doing that, it was making me take naps at 2 p.m, which was fine when I didn't have voiceovers and shit to do, you know? But once I was like, oh, I kind of like being successful and like being a businessman, like I didn't like having, because I would get high and then be like, okay, I have to fight it and go get to my voiceover, you know, because I wouldn't wait, you know. And now I've learned to like wait and just use it as a treat. And then also me just smoking flower makes it so that I can maintain a level and not, you know, pass out.
Yeah, I'm a big flower guy. I've tried some of that other stuff, and I you know, either my penchant for it has changed. I just don't really. I used to love to get super, super high when I was very young. Yeah, I've been smoking pot since I was 15. You know, and 21 years later, I guess I just don't love getting that obliterated anymore. Maybe it's I'm growing up different. Maybe it's my age. I don't know what. It's also, you know, not to sound like a fucking old man boomer, but like the pot is generationally stronger now. It's gotten so much more potent than it ever was when we were young. So
it's like athletes. Is LeBron James a better athlete than Michael Jordan? Yeah, of course. That's just how it goes. So the
evolution has gotten stronger.
It's what happens. Right. You're not wrong in that. I completely agree with you. I used to call it chasing oblivion. That's what I was always looking for. I was always trying to get to where my toes were tingling and I was about to pass out. That's how high I wanted to get. And then I realized, as I got older, it was more about like, oh, if I keep doing this, I'm going to have to quit smoking pot at some point. I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to have to go, oh, this is not healthy for you. This isn't good for your son, and this isn't good for your business. And when things like, I love fucking having fun. I love fun. But as soon as things start affecting my son or my business, I have a very clear thing in my brain to go fucking cut this shit out. And so I was like, I love pot. I don't drink. I don't do other things. So it's like, I don't want to get to the point where like, I'm just like, I just love life. So, you know, I was like, I better start slowing down.
Yeah. That's good though, dude. To have that kind of mindset, that mental check down is important because not a lot of people have the ability to do that. So it's a grown up move. That's what I like. You know what I mean? It's just a grown man move to be like, hey, I got to fix this shit. This is going to get to a place that I don't want it to be at, you know? Speaking of grown man moves though, bro, are you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but you mentioned fiance. When are you getting married?
I don't know. Sometime real soon, you know.
Whenever.
I think
you haven't planned a date yet. Is what I'm saying.
No. Because the lab, you know, in which we're real lucky about, but it's like not. It sounds like I'm nonchalant about it, but I'm actually really, really planned about it. Like, so we got engaged in November and we were just like, let's take the rest of this year to just chill and be engaged. We're going to go to Japan. We're going to enjoy being, you know, I guess newly engaged. And so and we'll talk about it at the beginning of the year. We'll start planning. We'll start doing stuff. And so then we started doing that. And I've been married before, and it didn't go well. I got married very young, and I had my son when I was 20, and it just was not a great relationship. And both me and my fiance come from backgrounds where our family had done with some domestic issues. And so I was like, hey, we both have these backgrounds. It would probably, I know we love each other very much, and I also notice that sometimes when we get in conflict, I know I can feel it in my veins. I'm like, oh, I'm being triggered about old stuff, and I can see it in you. So let's go to the couples therapy and hang out and do that for a while, or for a few sessions, and then just set the groundwork, because I don't want to have a third marriage,
Right.
So
Right. I'm not doing this shit again.
yeah.
Yeah. No.
So we're just kind of in the middle of that right now, and then once we're done with that, we'll set a date and we'll send out some invitations. Hopefully you'll come, and we'll do it.
I was just curious, because I'm happy for you, because I know that you've been a single dad is I imagine extremely rare. I'm a lot of times, if anything, it's usually single women that are raising kids. But you've been a single dad. When I met you, obviously for the first time, and I learned that you had a son, and I was like, that's wild, because we met, I don't know, 10 years ago plus. I don't even know how long ago. And as we start to come up in comedy, there's already so many struggles already. But when I learned that you had to be a dad as well, I was like, God, that's a tough grind, to be a single father and trying to wiggle our way up in this unfair, uncouth, ridiculous business, So it's great that you're at a point where things are going great and you're going to get married. And I think that's awesome. Would you have another kid or no?
Yeah, I want to, because I want to see what it would be like to do it on what I call easy mode,
Right.
I had my son, we had no money, I would wake up trying to be like, it was literally day-to-day living. It was like, what am I going to get him for dinner tonight, and how am I going to figure that shit out? And that's how my day would begin, and then I had to figure that shit out before the afternoon. And so it was a very, very stressful time period, and I still, a lot of love. It was awesome. I wouldn't have changed. I would have changed it. I would have changed the money part. A lot of people say you wouldn't change nothing. I would have changed some things.
You changed the money part. Yeah.
But I did get to spend a lot of time with him. As a dad, I got to see his first steps. I got to see all that stuff, and it's kind of cool having someone with me. That old rap adage of like, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym.
The gym,
and like,
I love
this kid was shooting with me in the gym. He was with me from the open mics. He went with me to some open mics, and now and then he went with me to my special taping. And so it's things like that where and our relationship is like that, where I feel like, oh, like I owe you, like he knows so many aspects of life, where I'll be like, oh, what do you want to do for spring break? And he'll be like, I want to go to Walport, Oregon and stay at a Motel 6. And I'm like, fuck no. We'll never do that again. If we did,
but that was what, because it has a nostalgic thing for him. Was he born in Oregon? You had him in Portland?
Yeah, had him in Oregon, in Salem, Oregon, and we lived out on the coast. And he used to go to this pizza place a lot, and because they had take and bake pizzas that would let you pay with food stamps, and so it was a fun trip for him. But for me, it was like, okay, we can actually make this look fun and nice, and I can pay with an Oregon Trail card. So I see why he likes it, but it don't bring up good memories for me.
But isn't that wild to think that how we perceive something when we're children versus how our parents actually lived it is so uniquely different? Because as someone, as a youth, you're not privy to the bullshit. So like, he's still clean. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he didn't see all the shit that comes along, which is a good thing. But it's wild as we get older, that you see what your parents were seeing sometimes, and you're like, oh fuck, I understand now why they didn't enjoy these times or whatever it was, but it didn't bother me because I couldn't fucking see the shit,
Yeah, why you're like, why are you so angry? You're like, because the lights might be cut off soon, But I think it'd be fun to have a new kid who hopefully doesn't have to experience those things. And then I think I'll be a better disciplinarian because I feel like they have it too good and like, fuck them.
Isn't that the worry though? I think about that all the time is like, people comment often negatively about living in LA or like, oh, Ray, you're going to raise a family in LA. And, there's always, people always have comments about that. And like, I don't really give a fuck what other people think about, where I live or how I live my life. But it's always interesting to me that like, I kind of want to give my kid, when I have one, a similar upbringing to how I had it. But it won't happen here because LA is so uniquely different from how I grew up. You know what I mean? So those kind of things I think about a lot, that you're like, well, you want him to live good, but you don't want him to live spoiled because then they won't appreciate shit. They'll never ask you to go eat pizza at the Motel 6 in Salem, because they'll want to go eat at fucking Tavern on the Green at Barney's. You know what I mean? Like they'll think that like these things are it's hard when privilege gets normalized, because then kids like Beverly Hills kids, they don't fucking know any better. So it's hard for me to get mad at those kids because they don't know. They have no other perspective.
Yeah, you have, and I'm sure you might be able to relate to this, but you ever go to a meeting or something, somebody wants to meet you at like some fancy hotel or whatever, and you go there and you're kind of like, man, like look at me, like I come from open mics to this, and I'm like working hard and things are going good, and then you walk in and you go to the restaurant, and sometimes I've seen like a 5-year-old kid in a blazer walking around like he owns the place, talking to the cook, and you're just like, holy fuck, shit. What the? I was just happy.
Yeah, that's such a real thing.
Yeah.
In here, we pour whiskey.
This episode of Whiskey Ginger is brought to you by Buffalo Trace. Buff Trace is the only bourbon with balls. You can see his nut sack right there on the label. It is my favorite sauce. I've talked about it before. I've been preaching them for over a year to you guys now. They're not just one of my favorite sponsors. It's actually some of my favorite juice, dude. I love this stuff. I really do. I drink it all the time. So I was happy to pair up with these guys since 1773. They've been creating their own style, doing their own thing, making it in their own house, not putting it out to other people. They're very cool, man. I visited down there at the distillery, and they make really, really good sauce. Unfortunately, right now, you can't visit the distillery because it is closed because of COVID, sadly. But they're still kicking ass and making great bourbon. They won Whiskey Magazine, named them the best distillery in America once again this year. Done it before, dude. Act like you've been there before. They have. This Buffalo stands strong, man. And this company is great. This is also why I'm very happy that they're my sponsor. Not only that I like their sauce, but also because they're closed down, doesn't mean they're stopping making bourbon, because it's deemed as essential, as we all know. But they are doing this thing. This is wild. They're going to donate one case, 12 bottles each of Clear Spring 190 proof grain alcohol to any of the following approved Kentucky-based businesses or nonprofits. If you're a first responder, government agencies, law enforcement, 501c3 charitable entity, or healthcare, we'll put the link in the description below. They will give you a case, any of those businesses, for sanitization purposes, because it's 190 proof. I mean, that'll make your teeth fall out if you drank it straight. That's just alcohol, just for cleaning, not for consumption. This stuff is for the drinking. That stuff is for keeping your hands and the facilities safe and clean. So if you are one of those things, link in the description below. Please enjoy the love that they're sending out. Buffalo Trace is distilled, aged, and bottled in Buffalo Trace Distillery themselves. 90 proof, Franklin County, Kentucky. Buffalo Trace, baby. It's American family owned and fiercely independent. Drink it up. Back to the episode.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Having me at the
took us
Hollywood
like
Bowl. I went to go see Chance the Rapper, and I was so excited because I had these like middle seats at the Hollywood Bowl, and I was like, oh my God, they're so expensive and fun. And then I look around, and there's like all these 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds. There's like whole families where the mom had paid for like 6 kids to go to the Hollywood Bowl, and they're all like walking around texting, not giving a shit. And I was just like, I know how much these tickets cost. You fucking listen to every lyric.
You're yelling at her kids. You're like, hey, listen up. You know how expensive. You listen up. Put your phones down. pay attention to chance. I get that, dude. I get that. Like, I feel it a lot. And well, also because, when I get put in situations like that, I'll never be comfortable. I always kind of feel like I don't belong in those situations because I didn't have it when I was young. It wasn't like I wasn't privy to some of those things. So when you get them as an adult because you've earned them, I'm still uncomfortable sometimes, right? Like even when I stay at a nice hotel, when we go and we stay at like a really, really nice hotel, sometimes I feel like even the staff knows that I don't belong. Even though I can afford it and I paid for it, I feel like they even look at me and they're like, nah, this is not what he's used to. You know what I mean? Like
I'm glad that happens to you because then I don't feel like it's all racism now.
Well, Ron, it is, but it's because of my hair. It's a hairism. It's a hairism more than.
But I've never felt that way though. I think one of the things I like about myself the most is that I think because of my upbringing, like my my mom and dad were never well off, and then my mom was a single parent, but my aunt and stuff are like doctors and lawyers and things like that, and my mom had always put in culture. She was always about like, especially because we grew up in Chicago, she was like, well, I can't afford to do these things, but I can take you to the museum on the free day. I can take you to this,
right.
that, and so we go to the Natural History Museum a lot, the Museum of Science and Industry a lot, and we would just talk about traveling a lot. My mom always let me know that even though we were in the south side of Chicago, that there was this whole world around me, and so now, like, I'm comfortable wherever I go, really. Like, I'm comfortable in a trailer park. I'm comfortable in the projects. I'm comfortable in a fucking nice ass house. That's what I prefer the most, really. Like when I'm in a nice store or something, I'm like, this feels right.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, I think like again, like the perspective is nice. We were just such like I was just used to like middle class lifestyle, like middle of the road working. Like both my parents worked. And so fancy stuff was never part of my parents' agenda. It's also comes from a place of like, like you're supposed in my family or my lifestyle of growing up around us. It's like you get made fun of if you show off. For us, it was always like it's embarrassing to have something nice almost. I don't know why, but it was this like, you shouldn't talk about it. If you have it, you shouldn't brag about it.
That's
you
come up recently,
yeah.
And around us, because I think me and my fiance, we grew up differently that way because she had similar middle class. But I think because I grew up below middle class, anytime that we got to celebrate, it felt earned. It was like, fuck yeah, right. We got this. Fuck yeah, we got a new car. Fuck yeah, we got this. It was not like...
Yeah.
Feel bad about it. It was like,
right,
celebrate it because we worked hard for it and we know things can change at any time.
Well, I say that, and I mean, dude, I'm learning to have that perspective more of like, I get told often that it's like, dude, you should be happy or celebrate these moments because sometimes I breeze by them in life, whatever they are, little achievements, because I feel like I'm like, don't get too excited about it because they can take it away from you, or you don't want to seem like you're too proud. It just, there's something I'm learning to get over of like, celebrate the fucking small moments, enjoy it. Don't feel embarrassed about success or when things are just good. It's not just about money and career. It's just like life in general, to be a little bit more happy about those things. I'm working on that, but that's
brother.
That
makes me both so that gives me so many emotions. It makes me sad that you feel that way. That makes me excited that that's going to change for you, and that makes me jealous that you're this good right now with that weight on your back. Because when you take that weight off your back, man, how good are you going to be when you let yourself shine, man?
Yeah,
Jesus.
Maybe. I know. I'm working. I'm trying, dude. You found like as long as I've known you, you found a new. I felt you shift a new perspective of yourself and the way you value yourself in comedy, and that's a big thing. And like I said, I think it comes along with your shift, and what you've accomplished and stuff in your career and what you've done. I think comes along with the way your life has kind of, like when like Legos or toy pieces just snap together perfectly. I think for you, like I could physically watch a lot of things snap into place that it was really cool to watch. I mean, like when you do meet your girlfriend that eventually became your fiance and getting your house and, like as your son has gotten older, all these things have kind of clicked a little bit more, which is, I think, the thing that we're all striving for is to make the puzzle piece snap right. You know what I mean? Because it's hard. You have all these fucking things you need to balance. When they start snapping, it's cool to watch, man. It's very cool to watch.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. And that's a lot about, and I never really get to talk about this, so I'm so happy you bring it up. But that's a lot about my comedy philosophy. Like, I have a firm belief that your comedy and your success in comedy is firmly tied to how you are. I mean, if you want to use the word spiritually, whatever, like mentally, however your well-being is. So to me, that they can't get far off. You can see that sometimes, where sometimes people will make this character and that lets them be successful, but the real person is not happy, and the real person becomes trapped in that character, Or sometimes we just don't let ourselves be successful because we don't let ourselves, we feel we don't deserve it or whatever. And I had always, that was one of the main reasons I went into therapy, is because I was having, and this is me, just my soul therapy, was that I was noticing that I wasn't letting women get close to me because because of my first marriage and stuff, and that I was very quick to I was looking for a reason, and anything that showed me a reason, I was like, all right, you're not the one, out, And and for the most part, that was fine. That was actually a good thing. But there was a couple of good women that I was like, you know what? I think I might have, I was the one who fucked this up. And when I started dating my fiance, I was like, she's a really good woman. Like, I was like, this is a really good woman, and I don't want to do the same thing again. And so I got into therapy, and I was just like, I want to stop being so focused mostly on money, because I at my favorite, and when I started comedy, I didn't give a shit about money. I just wanted to be funny. Right. I wanted funny, and I wanted to pay my bills with comedy, and that was it. And then I wanted to take care of my son and make sure he had a house. But even after we got the house, I was like, more. And I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't, and I wasn't making decisions based off of if it was going to be fun or if it was going to be good art. I was making decisions off of, is this going to make me more famous? Is this going to get me more money? And I never gave a fuck about being famous. I never gave a shit about that. And so I had to kind of take a step back and really refocus, and I'm loving it now. I really owe a lot of it to my fiance, as she's gotten me off of tweeting all the fucking time, getting into Twitter fights, and
that's healthy as shit. Twitter's a cesspool. That your fiance is a bright woman. To get you off of that is a good step, because most of us need to get away from the toxic like that shit is toxic as fuck.
Yeah, it's very, very toxic, and it's just, and it's just, it never solves anything, and it never, because again, I started seeing it affect my business, because I could see the numbers, and I was like, oh, I'm getting into a fight with these people. I think I'm right. In fact, I'm pretty sure I know I'm right, but then sometimes other people are going in and tweeting the third tweet in my fucking diatribe, and then going, look at this jackass, and I'm losing like 10, 15,000 followers or whatever every fight I get into, and I'm like, this isn't necessarily money, but it is the opportunity to reach people. So why am I just getting involved in this bullshit when I could just let my assistant tweet out dates, and I can go about my business and talk shit with my friends in a group text,
Right. Save that shit for a group text, bro. It's so true. Like that should be an autobiography called "Save That Shit for a Group Text." So many things that I think and we say comedically, it's like, just say it to your buddy. Don't put it out to the world, because you don't need the bullshit. Like the trouble that comes from it. It's just not worth it half the time on Twitter, Not
just the trouble. It's also a double-edged sword of, like, let's say you go the opposite way. It used to be that, like, some people could get some writing jobs, or, like, people could see how really, really funny you were. Now, like, for example, my friend Blair Saki, she kills it on Twitter all the time. And every time she posting something that isn't, like, even if it is personal, some other account will take it. Some celebrity account, some boxer took her thing, and then just said it was his, so that his 1.5 million things thinks this fucking dumbass boxer is funny,
Right.
And it's like, why you just keep that joke and make money with it?
Right. Well, I feel that way about Twitter as a whole. Like I didn't engage on Twitter much. I still don't really. It's tough for me because I just don't. Giving jokes away for free is just odd to me. It's like I'll give you little snippets of things that I might think are funny, but when someone's like, why isn't your Twitter engagement high? It's like, because I don't feel like writing jokes for free. Like, that's fucking crazy, and I'm giving it away to people to use. So usually I'll just put up bullshit on there, random stuff once in a great while. One of my favorite things to do, honestly, Ron, that gives me like pleasure is once every a month or so, I'll ask people. I'll say, hit me up, at me if you want to get roasted. And you got to have your photo has to be there. I have to be able to see you, and your profile has to be unlocked. And it's just usually fans that will want me to make fun of them because it's like this fun bond we get to share, and it's always something minor and small. It's never that mean. But this weird thing comes about from it of like the love, they know it's all in love, and the love that they receive from you making fun of something that you can both laugh at. It's one of my favorite fucking things. It's this moment that happens with fans where you're like, oh yeah, you can take a joke. I'm playing around. There is nothing vitriol about it. It just feels so good for a little moment in time. It's the one thing I like about Twitter is fucking with the fans like that, because then I know that, they love comedy. Like they just want to be a part of something fun,
Yeah, I like
But
that.
other than that, I don't like it.
Yeah, I missed it in that aspect. I think, obviously when it gets closer to my show dropping, I'll probably ask for my password back so that I can get back in there. Right now, though, sometimes I randomly talk shit on things but it's so fun because you have to know just how hard I have to work to talk shit to someone on Twitter now. Because I don't have my password. I have to go in and just remember their Twitter handle and then put it into Google and then look at their page and then figure out what shit I want to talk and then text my assistant and go, can you tweet this out?
What a bureaucratic system you have to go through just to talk shit.
Yeah, because now they know. Because before it was like, oh, I'm stoned at 2 a.m. and I say some random shit and I wake up in the morning and there's like a blog written about me. And so now it's like I write it out and I send it to her and then she'll be like, okay, this is fine. Or she'll be like, no, you can't fucking say this.
Right. Have you ever tweeted something that got you in big trouble? Is there something you've tweeted that's gotten you in some big trouble?
Multiple times. Yeah. Lots of times.
But I mean something detrimental to, like, that was actually like that you had to, that like you did that you knew was really bad and collapsed either a relationship or, I mean, has that happened? Because you've gotten in trouble, I guess you could say, on the sense of like you getting people getting up in arms about what you've said, but I don't think that's like getting in trouble, right?
Yeah, no. I consider getting in trouble like my manager calling me and letting me know something has happened. I've never.
Well, have you ruined a relationship via Twitter? Have you ever broken a business or a personal relationship and it's just been like it's spun out of control?
Probably a couple personal relationships, but just people who I only knew through Twitter anyway. I think I did some Michael Vick jokes about how, even if you're pro animal, like, it was 10 years ago, so even if those dogs had the best of lives, they're dead.
They'd be dead.
Yes.
Yes.
And some people really didn't like that.
It's such an obvious, it's a joke. It's such an obvious.
It's a joke, but it's also how I felt.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's a joke, but it's true.
Yeah.
Right. So many of the best jokes are fucking true. They're true. Like there's truth laced in it,
Yeah. And it's like, because to me, it just came from you're a sports guy a little bit. The Pro Bowl was happening and they invited him to come. And then they like 500,000 people signed a petition to not have him be there. And it just really struck me. I was like, it'd be one thing if he never went to jail or, had to actually, like, you decide he should still continue. He can't go toss the ball around with his friends because of something he did 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, we're a violently hypocritical country when it comes to things like that. We're okay with people doing certain things that we overlook or we let slide, or even it happens and they don't catch as much flack, and we pick and choose. Society does on who they really want to get the most mad at, and I got to tell you, it feels like Plinko from fucking The Price is Right. It feels like Plinko. It feels like it just landed in your slot. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's like, because some people get it in a way that others, you can't explain it. It's so many factors. Like, you remember when David Letterman had an affair with his assistant or whatever, and then he went on that night, and in his monologue before he did it, he was like, hey, I had an affair, it's between, what's going on is between me and my wife and my family, and I'm handling my personal business, and I'm here to do a comedy show, so let's put all that stuff out because it's not going to get broached ever again. That's the end of that. So do you want to do a comedy show tonight? Because I'd like to do one for you. And people loved it, and then it's like it disappeared. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, other people in the media, that whatever that happens in their family relationships, whether it's domestic abuse or affairs or children with other women or whatever, it seems to explode for certain people and some others for not. So we're hypocritical over who we choose to bury. You know what I mean? We love throwing stones. The society loves to be like, fuck you, but that guy's cool. He can have a second chance. But this guy, he never gets to come back. You know, Michael Vick never gets to come back, even though you're cool with people doing way more fucked up shit than him, and they don't even think twice. You know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think it's wild. It's just like it gets me angry. For a long time, it used to make me really, really mad because of how people were getting, people in our business were getting called out for things, to different varying levels. And you do want people to get called out if they do fucked up shit. But at the same time, so many people were getting the different levels of judgment was always odd to me. I was like, why is that guy in more trouble than that dude? Because I feel like that shit was way worse than that shit. Yeah. I think everything slowed down now as far as people getting called out, quote unquote, because for whatever reason they're getting called out for, because of fucking the pandemic has given perspective. I feel like people have gotten some perspective on life because of this.
Yeah, now people want to fuck. They're like, please let me get out there and start fucking again.
Yeah, please. I know I can't read another joke on Twitter by any of my female friends or coworkers, comics, how much they masturbate. I've never read so much masturbate jokes in my life out of women. Not one dude friend of mine is being like, oh, I'm jerking off a lot. But every girlfriend that I have on Twitter, comic or not, is like, oh my God, I broke 2 vibrators. It's like every joke out of them. It's so funny how it's switched now. It's like dudes always talk about their dick. It's like, well, during a pandemic, women only talk about breaking vibrators. It's all
like
I read.
That Seinfeld episode about where the garbage strike is happening now. It's piling
exactly. up. Yeah, it's piling up.
She's used to the garbage man coming and taking everything away.
Yeah. That's precisely what it is. Because I feel like people are I would love to know how many people are secretly fucking during the pandemic. Like how many people are secretly sneaking away. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I would love to know those numbers.
Yeah.
Who's doing the night call still? Yeah.
Who's like that? Who's that horny? Or also like who's that noble? Who is that horny and turning it away?
Right.
Who's that brave soldier?
Right. Like if you were single, what like this was like that. Neither of us are single, but I gotta hear my friends talk about that. They're like, I've had one friend, I'm not gonna mention his name because you know him as well, and he was like, dude, she's been isolating, I've been isolating. Don't you think it's fine if I go over there? I'm like, I don't know, man. She has a roommate, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, I was like, you're factoring all this stuff in, but it sounds like from the outside world, we're talking about like if she has an STD. Do you know what I mean? It's like she's clean. I'm sure her roommate's clean. I mean, the way we were talking about it, he's like, I'm sure it'll be fine, right? I mean, I asked her, she said yes. It's the same line it's the same line as being like, are you clean? Have you been tested? It's that same idea. We were talking about it. And I told him, I was like, you're taking a risk, dude. I mean, do it if you want to do it. I'm just saying, like, you don't know her fucking roommate. And he doesn't know this girl that well either. You know, they've hung out a few times before this, but that's it. I was like, I don't know, man. Fucking
Can't
this is why
risk
I'm
it.
happy that I'm
Can't
not out
risk-
there like
yeah.
that. you
Oh,
know?
it is beautiful. Oh, yeah. That part.
Trying to make a pandemic baby, man. Trying to make baby COVID right now. So we'll see what happens.
There's gonna be a lot of COVIDs born.
a lot of little COVID juniors. So Ron, I love you. I thank you for doing this with me. I end the episode the same way every time. I want the guest to say either one word or one phrase directly into the camera that they think encapsulates like whatever is going on in their life or their brain. Just one word to end the episode or one phrase. You go ahead and do it.
Magic.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger